10 ancient discoveries that shocked the world and scientists still can't explain. Cliffs that could lay eggs in the desert 500 million years ago. A blood-red coffin suddenly forced an entire archaeological team to retreat due to danger. A woman, even after more than 700 years, still has clearly visible pores on her skin. Brick houses in the middle of the desert seem to function like lighthouses, guiding lost travelers. And there are ancient mysteries. The more we try to explain them, the more confusing they become. What's even more remarkable is that even to this day, science still has not been able to provide definitive answers for them. Hello and welcome to the Ancient History channel. My friends, if you think history is just a collection of dry numbers and silent timelines locked inside textbooks, then what you're about to hear will completely change the way you see the past. Because out there, across the world, there are ancient traces so strange that even top scientists have spent decades debating them without reaching a final conclusion. In today's video, we are going to embark on a journey to explore 10 ancient phenomena that shock the world and still cannot be fully explained. From nearly perfectly preserved mummies discovered in tombs after hundreds of years, to mysterious structures in the desert and geological formations that look as if they were designed by an invisible hand. There are discoveries that left archaeologists speechless right at the excavation site. There are mysteries that, even with just a single touch of the past, can completely reshape our understanding of ancient civilizations. And the most fascinating part is this: the deeper you go, the more you realize that modern humanity has only scratched a very small part of Earth's history. So what exactly are these mysteries? What has allowed them to survive for hundreds, even thousands of years without ever being fully decoded? Let's dive into each discovery right now. The mysterious body in the blood coffin of Inner Mongolia, China, that made archaeologists scream and order an emergency evacuation. Do you think that just one wrong moment could turn an archaeological site into a deadly danger zone? You probably wouldn't believe that, right? Most people assume archaeology is only about the past, something safe, something already buried in history. But if you really think that, then unfortunately, you are mistaken. Why do I say that? Because a story that took place in 2003 at a mining area in Inner Mongolia, China, proved exactly the opposite. There, a dark red coffin was unexpectedly discovered, and no one could have imagined that behind it lay a mystery serious enough to make the entire archaeological team shout a warning. Danger! Retreat immediately! Everything began when local workers, during mining operations, accidentally struck several stone slabs engraved with strange symbols. Sensing that this was not ordinary material, they immediately reported it to the authorities. Not long after, an archaeological team was sent to the mining site in Inner Mongolia, China. At first, no one thought this place was connected to any major historical dynasty. But after careful examination, experts began to recognize the structure of the tomb as clearly belonging to the Liao dynasty, a regime founded by the Khitan people that once had a major influence in Chinese history. Then, as they dug deeper underground, a scene that left everyone frozen in shock appeared. In the cold darkness of the burial chamber stood a dark red coffin. That red color was unlike anything natural. It was so deep and intense that under excavation lights it looked like blood. Because of this, researchers gave it a chilling name: the blood coffin. The coffin was decorated with golden phoenix patterns, both majestic and mysterious, in a way that was difficult to explain. But what truly drew attention was not only the coffin itself, but the body inside. It was a female corpse, carefully covered across the face. From the burial style, decorative patterns, and tomb layout, archaeologists believed she was very likely a woman of high noble status within the Liao royal family. However, the real mystery only began when deeper examinations were conducted. During the initial analysis phase, the team used X-ray scanning on the body. On the screen, multiple black spots of different sizes suddenly appeared, with no clear pattern. This immediately created a tense atmosphere. Then came the decisive moment. One team member carefully lifted the cloth covering the woman's face. Instantly, an unknown liquid suddenly began to flow out from inside the coffin. For a few seconds, no one reacted, but a sense of danger quickly spread across the site. One expert suspected it could be mercury, a highly toxic substance that can be extremely dangerous if inhaled or exposed under unsafe conditions. Immediately, an emergency order was issued, Danger! Evacuate immediately! The entire archaeological team quickly withdrew from the coffin area, leaving the site to specialized hazardous materials personnel following strict safety procedures. Fortunately, thanks to the fast response, no one was injured. But the presence of mercury raised a series of major questions. Where did it come from, and why was it inside the coffin? At first, there was a theory that the woman might have ingested mercury to end her own life. However, later analyses quickly rejected this idea. When the mercury was accounted for, the black spots on the X-ray images also disappeared, showing that they were not physical objects in the body, but rather imaging artifacts related to the mercury. More importantly, tests showed that the mercury concentration in her hair was twice as high as in the abdominal area, something completely inconsistent with a suicide hypothesis. If she had truly ingested it, the highest concentration should have been in the stomach area. From this, experts proposed a new interpretation. Mercury may have been used as a preservation method to slow down decomposition. In many ancient burial practices, especially among the nobility, mercury was indeed used for similar purposes. So who exactly was the woman in the blood coffin? Based on historical comparisons, many researchers believe she may have been the younger sister of Yelu Abaoji, the founding emperor of the Liao dynasty. According to historical records, after the emperor's death, the burial process was delayed, and mercury may have been used to preserve the body during that time. If this theory is correct, then the tomb in Inner Mongolia is not only the resting place of a noble woman, but also a reflection of a hidden political tragedy behind imperial power. This woman is believed to have had a husband who was executed for treason, and she herself was also implicated, leading to an unfortunate and unresolved fate. However, it is important to note that all of this remains only a hypothesis proposed by researchers. To this day, no conclusive evidence has been found, and because of that, this mystery remains unsolved even now. The tomb with gold nails in the coffin, an accidental discovery, reveals a historical general. Some archaeological discoveries begin with carefully planned excavations, but other stories start completely by accident, sometimes with just a few strikes of a worker's shovel. And it was exactly such a moment that led to the discovery of an ancient treasure-filled tomb, where even the nails used in the coffin were made of solid gold, a detail so rare that it left archaeologists stunned. The story began when a reservoir construction project was underway in Xinpu County, located in Guizhou. At first, this was simply a routine water management project. Day after day, workers continued digging and leveling the ground just as they would at any other construction site. But during the excavation, they suddenly noticed signs of an unusual structure buried beneath the thick soil, something that resembled an ancient tomb. Sensing that the discovery might be important, the workers quickly reported it to the local authorities. Soon after, archaeologists arrived at the site to conduct a proper investigation. To be honest, at the early stage, the experts did not have particularly high expectations. Small ancient graves are often discovered during construction projects, and many of them turn out to have limited archaeological value. However, those initial assumptions were soon overturned. As the excavation continued and layers of soil were gradually removed, the team discovered a coffin buried deep underground. Once the surrounding dirt had been carefully cleared away, the archaeologists began examining it more closely. Most of the wood from the coffin had already decayed after centuries underground. But at that moment, a surprising detail caught everyone's attention. On the surface of the coffin, the nails were still intact, and they were not made of iron or bronze as usually expected. Each one shimmered with a golden glow. Yes, the nails were made of pure gold. In ancient times, gold was an extremely valuable metal. It was typically used for jewelry, royal items, or ritual objects, yet here, gold had been used simply to fasten a coffin together. This seemingly small detail immediately told archaeologists something important. The person buried in this tomb could not have been an ordinary individual. As the excavation continued deeper, the discoveries became even more astonishing. Throughout the burial chamber, numerous valuable artifacts slowly emerged from the soil. Gold objects, silver items, jade pieces scattered throughout the space. Among them, one of the most striking objects was a gilded silver basin intricately engraved with the image of two fish. The basin measured more than 24 inches in diameter, an exceptionally large size for an ancient artifact. And that was not all. Once the full structure of the tomb had been uncovered, experts realized that its scale was far larger than they had originally expected. The burial chamber was spacious, and the grave goods were so numerous that they nearly filled the entire interior. Every artifact was finely crafted and incredibly valuable, clearly indicating the extremely high status of the person buried there. But the most important clue was yet to come. Among the many treasures discovered, archaeologists found a silver lampstand that stood out from the rest. Unlike the other items, this one had inscriptions carved into its surface. Those words would eventually become the key to solving the mystery of the tomb. After careful study and comparison with historical records, experts were finally able to determine the identity of the tomb's owner. The person buried inside was Yang Jia, a well-known general in history who once commanded troops along the frontier and achieved numerous victories in battles against the Mongols. Because of his remarkable military achievements, he was highly respected by the emperor during his lifetime and received many honors. And when he passed away, he was laid to rest in a luxurious tomb that reflected both his rank and his reputation. It's fascinating to think that from a completely accidental discovery by construction workers digging in the ground, an entire historical story from centuries ago was brought back into the light. An ancient tomb glittering golden nails, and behind it all, the legacy of a general who once shaped history along the frontier. Quite an incredible story, isn't it? A mass of child mummies in a mysterious tomb in Italy reveals a shocking hidden truth. In what appears to be an ordinary tourist site, there exists a place where hundreds of bodies have remained almost perfectly preserved for centuries, so well preserved that some children still look as if they are simply sleeping. Just hearing that is already chilling, isn't it? Yet this is the reality inside the Capuchin catacombs in Palermo, located in the northern part of the island of Sicily, Italy. This place has long been known as one of the most disturbing sites in Europe, but only recently have scientists begun to seriously investigate a major mystery hidden within it. In a newly launched research phase led by a team of experts headed by Kirsty Squires from Staffordshire University in the United Kingdom, researchers officially conducted field studies to examine the large number of child mummies preserved there. Specifically, out of a total of 163 child mummies scattered throughout the catacombs, 41 bodies were placed in a separate, isolated section. These children became the central focus of the study. As researchers moved deeper into the catacombs, the scene resembled nothing less than a museum of death. The child mummies were still wearing their original clothing, preserved almost completely intact over time. Some were placed in cribs, some were seated on chairs, and others were even propped upright with sticks, as if they were still present in this world. In particular, some of the mummies were so well preserved that they looked like small dolls, a sight that would make anyone feel uneasy. According to historical records, these children were buried between 1787 and 1880. That means they have been resting there for over a century, some nearly 2 centuries. Today, this site is considered one of the largest surviving catacombs containing mummies in Europe. However, what truly challenges researchers is not the number of bodies, but the lack of information. There are almost no detailed records identifying who these children were, their lives, or the causes of their deaths. Nevertheless, according to initial assessments by Kirsty Squires, most of the children likely did not come from poor families. At that time, mummification was not a common practice for everyone. It was typically reserved for wealthier families, such as the nobility, the middle class, or members of the clergy. This suggests that these children may have come from families of certain social standing. But this raises another question. If their families had the means, why were they not buried in the traditional way like everyone else? To find answers, the research team applied a modern, non-invasive method: X-ray imaging. They used portable X-ray devices directly inside the catacombs to analyze each body without disturbing its condition. Through this process, scientists were able to estimate each child's age by examining the development of their teeth and bones. In total, they produced 574 X-ray images to build detailed biological profiles for each mummy. These data allowed researchers to investigate whether mummification was related to age or gender, and also to identify signs of illness, developmental disorders, or injuries the children may have suffered during their lives. Beyond determining causes of death, the researchers also aimed to reconstruct the lives of these children, from their nutrition and health conditions to their living environments. In doing so, they hope to uncover a forgotten chapter of history. According to Kirsty Squires, in ancient beliefs, mummification was not merely a method of preserving bodies. It was also a way to preserve social identity after death. Family members could visit and see the familiar appearance of their loved ones, as if they were still present in this world. At this point, you might be wondering, did these children ever live happy lives? Or behind those carefully preserved small bodies, are there untold tragic stories? That question is completely understandable, because both I and the scientists share the same curiosity. Unfortunately, even today, there are still no answers. It remains an unsolved mystery. The 500-year-old giant treasure. In 2008, archaeologists discovered a shipwreck dating back about 500 years, filled with gold bars, ivory, and gold coins. The ship was found off the southern coast of Africa. The treasure was uncovered during mining operations by a diamond company called Namdeb, located in the Atlantic Ocean. The discovery quickly attracted widespread attention from the scientific community and international media. Experts conducted further studies of the treasure and estimated that the shipwreck occurred around the late 15th or early 16th century, during the time when renowned explorers such as Vasco da Gama and Christopher Columbus were embarking on their journeys to explore the New World. Based on the Spanish and Portuguese gold coins, along with the rudimentary maritime equipment and cannon designs, archaeologists hypothesized that the ship sank during the era of these famous explorations. Namdeb also revealed that among the finds, there were possible human remains and some royal decorative items, which may have belonged to a ship commanded by Bartolomeu Dias, the Portuguese explorer who perished in a shipwreck at the Cape of Good Hope in 1500. This discovery has sparked further questions about the voyages of explorers from that era and the treasures they carried. It serves as a valuable testament to the intersection of European and African civilizations during the Age of Exploration. 210,000-year-old human skull. On July 11, 2019, a groundbreaking discovery in the field of archaeology was announced when a fossilized modern human skull, Homo sapiens, dating back 210,000 years, was found outside of Africa. This is the oldest fossil of modern humans discovered to date, providing a new perspective on the migration of our ancestors from the African continent. The research, published in Nature, offers valuable insights into how early humans inhabited and lived on the Eurasian continent. Previously, southeastern Europe was considered the primary migration corridor for modern humans out of Africa, but the earliest evidence of modern humans in this region was only about 50,000 years old. Meanwhile, Neanderthals, a close relative of Homo sapiens, had appeared in Europe much earlier. Neanderthal fossils have been found in various locations across the continent since the 1970s, including two skulls discovered in the Apodema cave in Greece. The first skull, named Apodema II, is dated to be 170,000 years old and belonged to a Neanderthal. However, the second skull, Apodema I, surprised researchers by dating back 210,000 years, making it 40,000 years older than the Neanderthal fossil. This made it the oldest modern human fossil ever found outside of Africa. This discovery strengthens the hypothesis that modern humans migrated from Africa to Eurasia in multiple waves rather than in a single migration event. Scientists believe that modern humans did not leave Africa just once, but made several trips over tens of thousands of years, although not all of these migrations led to permanent settlements. As a result, this fossil, along with genetic studies and modern technologies, is gradually unveiling the mysteries of the Great Migration journey of human ancestors.